Hello, lovely. Just sitting here in the school pickup line. And while I'm sitting here, I thought maybe we could jump in and do a little pageant coaching from the car. So I do still have some questions that some beautiful women submitted to me. They wanted answers. And so today I've got answers. So when it comes to interview, let's have a chit chat about it. Do judges focus on your mistakes or how you recover from your mistakes? And I'm going to say recovery 100%, but you probably already knew that. Now, there are things that happen not just inside the interview room, but within pageant itself, such as a slip on stage, missing a step, forgetting to do part of a walking pattern, forgetting some of your opening number choreography or your second half opener, forgetting part of the walking pattern for your closing finale, not knowing where you're supposed to be on stage. Those are all things that can happen during the course of competition. And sometimes that just goes to our mental state. We're excited. We're looking forward to something. The whole situation can be a bit overwhelming. And so recovery is absolutely the most important thing. If you make an error, I know this last year at the Miss America competition, one of our beautiful contestants lost her earring. I mean, she's up there, they're in top 5, and her earring fell off. And so that's not a mistake. She didn't do anything wrong, but it certainly drew attention to her that many could have assumed was negative in nature, but she made it positive in the way she recovered and the way that she handled herself. And it actually drew very positive attention to her. So if you make an error, and then inside the interview room, I'll just say, or even during onstage question, it's absolutely typical, commonplace for all of us to trip over our words, stumble over our words, maybe use a word incorrectly. And so coming back around to it and saying, oh, what I actually meant was, or, not went, but was, being able to quickly recover, find the humor in it. We all make mistakes. So I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. And if there is something that transpires, and you don't realize it in the moment, right? That can happen too. The judges aren't going to mark you down because of one mistake. They're not going to look at that one thing and go, oh, well, she messed that up. She's out. Instead, they'll look at the whole of your overall presentation. How consistent were you overall as a contestant? And that's where they will draw their overall scoring from, or their overall feeling when it comes to something like a final ballot. They won't be thinking about, well, now she messed up that one thing. In fact, they probably won't even notate it. They'll notate your strengths instead. Moving on, what are some tricks to prevent yourself from overthinking before or during your interview? So I always say be emotionally driven. There are some things that you can anticipate that the judges might ask you about during the course of interview. Obviously, the information they're going to ask questions about is off of your paperwork, off of current events, and off of general interests, things that they're interested in, and they want to know how you might react or respond to those things. And so in that situation, we don't really need to be worried about overthinking. We can sort of do a little bit of practice maybe in terms of our languaging, or thinking about our themes, the highlights of the things that we want to bring to the judges, or make sure that the judges know about us that are maybe beyond just what our service initiative is. And so in terms of a trick to prevent yourself from overthinking, inside of the interview, you've got to be emotionally driven. If you think, you'll die on the spot, because you won't be interesting, you won't be warm, you'll be overly concerned with yourself. Your focus won't be then on your judges or on your audience. You'll be totally self-absorbed. Did I say the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? What should I say? What do they want me to say? That's when our answers sort of get long and rambling. They're cold and flat. You're not nearly as interesting or as warm and engaging. And so if we're thinking our way through an interview, then you're probably recalling things that you memorized. We especially see this on stage, women who memorize 3 points or something like that. If you're not driven emotionally by what it is that you're feeling and sharing of yourself naturally and spontaneously with the judges, because you've put the focus 100% on them, then we won't have the same synergy inside the interview room. And that's really what we're looking for. So I would say the trick would be to take the focus 100% off of yourself, Be willing to be transparent and fully known, which is a very vulnerable place to be, and then go in and share of yourself naturally with this panel of 5 people in a very conversational and dynamic manner to create that synergy with them. So I would just say keep it about them and take the focus off of you. If you're in your head thinking about yourself and about your answers and what you should say, you will not have as engaging of an interview. Yeah. That would be my trick in terms of a mindset trick. How can you work on not losing steam toward the end of private interview? Now, I would say that for most women, if you only have 9 minutes because you've got a 30-second opening and a 30-second closing, you're really kind of hitting your stride at about 5 to 6 minutes, because now the judges know what to expect from you. You've had a few questions to kind of, get the juices flowing. Now we're kind of having some fun. Maybe the judges are starting to loosen up. We've maybe touched on a number or a variety of different topics. So I would, again, say that if you're not feeling vibrant and excited and engaged in your interview and you feel like you're kind of losing steam, I would really focus on your judges. What is it that they're looking for? And maybe, play some games with yourself, like, oh, I noticed that judge hasn't looked up at me during the course of this interview, or boy, they really seem involved in that pencil that they're playing with, or can I get them to make eye contact with me? Can I get them to smile if they haven't smiled at me? Can I get them to laugh? And then also I will say that as title holders and as public speakers, we tell stories. That's one of the things that makes us engaging, is people want to get to know us, and one of the ways that we can help them get to know us quickly is to relay an experience or tell a story about something that's transpired for us, and then they can kind of relate off of that. So if you're using emotional words, feeling words, you're sharing stories, I had this cool experience the other day, not to the point that it gets rambling, but to the point that you're using it to illustrate a point or help them get to know you and understand you better, which then relates to how you would do the job as Miss Title Holder and what they could expect from you in terms of your interpersonal skills when they send you out into the community to do the job. Then I would say that who doesn't enjoy sharing stories about something cool or dynamic that's happened in their day or in their week or in the past year or from their childhood? So feel free to weave some stories into the conversation as you're chatting with the judges. What are some things you would touch on in your intro and closer for interview, or some bullet points to guide your intro or closer? Well, I hear children exiting school behind me, so we will have to get to that question in our next car interview prep Q&A. So stick with me and catch me on the next one.